Hello, my name is Mike Bishop. I'm a former lieutenant in New York City Fire Department. In this video, I will explain basic forcible entry and how to use the various inventions such as the power jamb virtual door and the through the lock trainer. I will explain step by step the various teaching methods to show forcible entry using the Halligan and axe and the through the lock method using the K tool. In this first section, we're going to cover the basics of setting up the virtual door once it has been assembled using the instruction manual and the video provided. This is going to be using forcible entry methods with conventional forcible entry with a Halligan and an axe and or more. In order to set up the power jamb module for forcible entry training, first you must close the unit up against the front stop plate. Next, with one hand, holding the unit up against the front stop plate, slide the locking bolt into the jamb, approximately 1.5 or 1.25 inches into the jamb. This will give you a finger's breadth between the washer and the end of the eye bolt. Next, tighten it clockwise, hand tight, and you are ready for forcible entry training. If you're going to set the unit up for inward opening forcible entry, you must use the top pressure tab. Spin it up so it's horizontal against the jamb, and it's only on the top edge of the inner box. Tighten down the thumb screw, again, hand tight. The unit is now ready for forcible entry as an inward opening door. Make sure that after you force the unit, you loosen the thumb screw and slide the tab down so the unit will clear once it is closed again. In order to set up the adze trainer for use, we're going to close the unit up against the front stop plate, making sure that the end angle is pushed in over the inner spring. Next, you're going to take the locking angle and place it over the threaded bolt sticking out of the frame. The thumb screw will be spun on, and again, hand tight to lock it in place. Make sure that the rounded bolt end of the locking rod is up against the adze trainer back. After the unit is forced, make sure you undo the thumb screw and take the locking angle out. And then again, replace the adze trainer and lock again. There are two options to secure the unit while performing forcible entry. One is to have the member holding the Halligan to step on the platform itself, while other members hold the side rails, or the unit can be placed up against a back wall and slid into place. Another option for securing the unit would be to place a 2x4 up against the wall edge and slide the unit up against the 2x4. As a member of the forcible entry team, the irons man carries an axe and a Halligan. They can be matched up like so and carried in one hand. As you enter the building, take note of the fire location, number of floors, the windows, and also the fire escapes. Upon entering the fire building, you initial size up the apartment door or the fire location should be the number and types of locks. Make a quick mental note, because at any point the situation can change, and as the smoke banks down, you'll lose your visibility. This will make forcing the door that much more difficult. The first step would be to check the door for heat before forcing it. Take an ungloved hand, and with the back of your hand, touch the door to feel for heat. If it's too hot, be ready with a charge line to protect you once the door is forced. The next obvious step before you attempt to force the door will be to check the doorknob to see if the door is open. If it is open, make sure you attach a hose strap before you have a charge line if there's fire behind the door. The door has a few locks on it and it seems like it will be forced easily. You can use the adze end to start the gap and either push down or pull inward to pop the door. Again, make sure a member has a hose strap on the door in case there's fire behind it. Again, it will be a quick motion to pop the door. This same technique can be practiced over and over again using the adze trainer. Again, it's either a push towards the door or a downward motion to pop the lock. If it's a solid steel door with one or two flimsy locks, the point of the Halligan can also be pushed in behind the stop and pushed downward or inward. Again, the point of the unit is not to see how much force one member or another member can apply, but the proper use and setting of the tool in the door frame so it can be forced. The size up indicates that there are more locks and it's a heavy-duty door. We're going to have to use the fork end of the Halligan to force the door. First, again, we must gap it using the adze end of the Halligan, swinging like a baseball bat. Pressing it up and down to make a crease in the door so the fork end will be set into the door and the frame. Next, we turn the tool around and take the bevel side of the fork and place it into the gap that we made up against the door frame itself. Moving along with the scenario, once the door has been gapped, take the fork end with the bevel against the door frame itself and set it into the gap, approximately 45 degrees from the door itself, and slowly work its way perpendicular to the door as the man holding the axe hits the adze trainer. You'll see this technique used in the various videos ahead. Again, bevel end against the frame and other side against the door, and set into the gap.
Slow it out, man. Give him room to work. Alright, good. We don't want you to do that on this stick. No, I'll tell you, between the two red things. Good. Hit. Door. Very nice. Mask up, man. I'll hold that door back.
Stay low. All right. Hey, we ready to go? Yeah, we're ready to go. All right, then start to force the door. Nice job holding the door, gentlemen. Nice job. Okay, watch your face there, Luke. What? Ready? No. Ready? Let that door go now. Go. Hold it. Force it. Ready? Sit. Okay. Nice job. Get down, get down, get down. Get down, keep that door closed. Your mask doesn't on. Your foot. Oh! Your irons, man, just got burned. You can, man, just got burned. You're not opening that door until everybody goes, Mo.
No, let that go. Only conventional, I'm sorry. I neglected to tell you that part. The rabbit hole was borrowed by 33 truck below you because they didn't come with this. Hey, come on, you didn't control that door. Close that door. Don it. Don the mask. Everybody with the mask on.
Everybody use the adze end and smash the shit out the door.
Well, hold the door. Come on, you got a backboard coming. They're just blowing you off the stairway. Hoods up. Hoods up. Don't jerk it. You're wasting your time jerking it. Put it in, move a slight bit at a time.
Ready?
This tool works for you right now.
Ready?
Both of you down. Control the door. You're burning up. You're burning up. Get your face pieces on. Close that door. Face pieces. Move. Excellent. Oh, close that door. You got fire bugging out of you. Very good.
Once the fork end is set in, the member holding the axe swings and hits the end of the adze perpendicular, according to the directions of the man holding the halligan. At this point, the halligan should be perpendicular to the door, and the fork end should be almost all the way through to the other side of the frame. This positioning of the fork tips on the other side of the frame will assure that the member does not lose his purchase when he forces the door. Once the man holding the halligan is assured that the fork end tips are beyond the door frame and on the opposite side of the door, he shall grab the adze end and the bar and push towards the door to pop it. In order to simulate not with opening door forcible entry, the member using the halligan should take the adze end and place it between the door edge and the door frame. The other member will hit the end of the adze and force the adze into the door and pass the stop. Hit, hit, hit. Next, the member will pull back to pop the door. Tutor-lock training was designed to teach students an alternate method of forcing a door during non-emergencies, such as lockouts or food on the stove. An alternate method would also be to put an area ladder or portable ladder to an adjacent window to gain access to the front door. Using the K-tool, students will learn how to pull a cylinder from the face of the door and then manipulate the inside of each individual lock with hands-on experience to open a door using this method. In order to teach a student to pull a cylinder using the K-tool, you place the blades over the top of the cylinder and get a slight bite. Using the end of the halligan or an axe, tap down on the K-tool to get a secure grip on the cylinder head. Once this is achieved, take the adze end and slip it into the sleeve on top of the K-tool and either pull down or push up, pulling the cylinder forcibly from the door. In order to replace the cylinder for the next student, center it in the hole and give it a slight twist, pushing inward. Using the mallet provided, slap the cylinder back into place. It is now ready for the next student. I'm going to repeat the same situation on a normal door with a cylinder. Again, the K-tool is placed over the cylinder head and a bite is taken. The halligan is used to tap on the K-tool, and then the end is put into the hasp and forcibly removing the cylinder from the door. The first type of lock I'm going to demonstrate is one that's usually found on commercial doors, glass doors, and this is the style that surrounds the frame. It's a deadbolt lock, and in order to open and close this lock, after the cylinder is pulled, you take the tool provided with the K-tool, reach in, push down to undo the spring latch, and then either go from 5 to 7 or 7 to 5. This manipulates the lock as if you have the key. The other type of lock we're demonstrating here is the mortise lock. This is mortised into the door. This lock usually has a cylinder with threads. In order to remove the cylinder, you can use a pair of vice grips, grab the edge of the cylinder and twist out either clockwise or counterclockwise and pull out the cylinder. Once the cylinder is removed, again, you take the tool that comes with the K-tool and you either go from the 5 o'clock or the 7 o'clock position and move counterclockwise or clockwise to open and close the deadbolt. Again, hands-on is the best way to maneuver this lock. Another type of lock on the two-lock trainer is the jimmy-proof lock. This is called jimmy-proof because once the fingers are engaged, you cannot spread the door from the frame and pop the lock. Again, the fingers on this lock engage and the lock cannot be jimmied. It has to be forced or manipulated using the to-the-lock method. If this type of method doesn't work, the point of the halligan can be placed in the hole and hit with an axe or a maul, forcing the lock completely off the back of the door. This type of lock to the lock is a simple keyed doorknob. This is usually used on an entry door or an interior door in an apartment. Members can see how the mechanism works in a simple beveled spring-loaded latch. Again, these doors are pretty simple to force using the end of a Halligan adze or a type of what they call a quick pick. We also have these in our called shove knives. They're placed in between the door and the jamb, and they push the latch inward to release the door mechanism. In this